In a world full of words and arguments, we might get the impression that to be heard and respected, we need to speak louder than others. But is it really so? Have you ever stopped to think that the secret to influencing and convincing people might lie in silence and the subtlety of actions? When we learn to use silence effectively, we can become more persuasive and charismatic, even without uttering a single word. Influencing people without uttering a single word seems unimaginable, but in reality, it's a skill that we all can develop. From now on, let's understand how to do this successfully. Our inspiration comes from the lessons of Dale Carnegie, famous for his book, How to Win Friends and Influence People, who is considered a true master of interpersonal communication. You might not realize it consciously, but when you meet someone for the first time, your mind forms an initial impression of that person in just a few seconds. This impression-forming process happens almost instantaneously and is primarily influenced by nonverbal elements. The way you position yourself, your gaze, the way you move, all of this speaks for you before you even open your mouth. This leads us to an important reflection. How can we use these elements to our advantage? The key lies in being intentional with your body language. Imagine that each gesture, each facial expression, is a word in a silent dialogue. When you smile, you're sending a message of openness and friendliness. An attentive look can say, "I'm interested in what you have to say." These small details can create a positive atmosphere conducive to influence and convince. Imagine you're in a business meeting. You need to convince your boss to invest in a new project. You can use all the rational arguments in the world, but if your body language is misaligned, your chances of success will be reduced. On the other hand, if you behave in a confident and assertive manner, even without saying anything, you're already taking an important step to convince him. When we're trying to convince someone, it's important to be mindful of our body language. Eye contact is a sign of trust and interest. When you look into the other person's eyes, you're showing that you're paying attention to them and that you're interested in what they have to say. An upright and confident posture conveys a positive image. When you feel good about yourself, it's evident in your posture. A friendly and smiling facial expression shows that you are open to a conversation. Gestures can be used to reinforce what you are saying or to demonstrate emotions. But body language isn't the only way to influence people without saying anything. Another important point highlighted by Dale Carnegie is empathy through active listening. When you listen attentively to someone, not just with your ears, but with all your attention and focus, you are sending a clear message of respect and interest. This creates a bond of trust and empathy, essential for influencing positively. Think of a scenario where someone shares an idea or concern with you. If you lean in slightly, maintain eye contact, and nod occasionally, it shows you are fully engaged in the conversation. This not only increases the speaker's trust in you, but also makes them more receptive to your ideas and suggestions. Furthermore, the power of silence in the context of active listening should not be underestimated. Taking strategic pauses during a conversation, allowing the other person to complete their thoughts or reflect on what has been said, can be more eloquent than any verbal argument. These pauses give room for the person to process the conversation and contribute more meaningfully. Carnegie emphasized that understanding and validating others' viewpoints is a way of influencing without imposing our own ideas. By adopting a stance of genuine listening, we open doors to more effective and persuasive communication, where words may be few, but understanding and influence are profound. The concept of mirroring and synchrony is another fascinating aspect of nonverbal communication. Mirroring someone's body language and facial expressions is not just imitation. It's a way of creating a subconscious connection, generating a sense of familiarity and understanding. This happens because, by reflecting on someone's gestures and posture, we transmit the message that we are in tune with that person. It's like saying, "I understand you," or "we're on the same page," without needing words for it. For example, subtly mirroring those gestures can create a stronger connection if you are talking to someone who gestures while speaking. Similarly, if the person you speak with has a relaxed posture, adopting a similar stance can make them feel more at ease. However, it's important that this synchrony is natural and doesn't seem forced. When done authentically, mirroring has the power to break down barriers and build trust. After all, trust doesn't just come from the words we speak, but also from the way we present ourselves. A presence that exudes confidence can be achieved through a firm posture, controlled movements, and a serene facial expression. This conveys a sense of self-confidence and stability, which in turn inspires others. This is due to the fact that humans are highly receptive to visual cues and often trust more in what they see than what they hear. Furthermore, the art of being humble in our interactions is another crucial component in silent influence. Humility does not mean submission, but rather a respectful acknowledgement of the value of others. Simple gestures, such as a slight nod in recognition or a welcoming smile, can express consideration and respect without the need for words. These gestures are particularly powerful in situations that might tend towards confrontation or defensive postures. By demonstrating humility, we can diffuse tensions and establish common ground, creating an environment conducive to mutual understanding. Carnegie understands that humility is a fundamental pillar in building lasting relationships and influencing positively, as when we show respect for others, we increase the likelihood of being respected and heard in return. According to Carnegie's teachings, understanding proximity and personal space in nonverbal communication is essential. Each individual's personal space is like an invisible bubble that needs to be respected. For example, noticing someone slightly backing away is a sign to increase the distance and respect their space. Conversely, if someone moves closer, this can be an indicator of comfort and openness to closer interaction. By consciously adjusting our proximity to others, we can convey interest and involvement without the need for words. This subtlety in handling physical space is something that varies depending on cultural context and situation. What is considered a respectful distance in one culture may be perceived as distant in another. This balance in managing personal space is a key component in the art of influencing without words. The way we occupy and respect physical space can speak as loudly as what we say verbally, shaping how we are perceived and, consequently, our ability to positively influence those around us. It's important to remember that silent influence is not a strategy of manipulation. It is, in fact, a form of honest and authentic communication that is based on respect and mutual understanding. Words, though powerful, are just one part of human communication. The true essence of influence lies in the ability to understand and utilize non-verbal language, gestures, expressions, and the space between words to connect, inspire, and convince. By developing these skills, we can become more convincing, charismatic, and respected without resorting to empty arguments or aggressive tactics. In a noisy world, sometimes silence speaks louder, and the unsaid can be the key to unlocking the mysteries of influence and human empathy. If this video resonates with you, please write in the comments, "It makes sense to me." Remember to subscribe to the channel and hit the bell to receive all the latest teachings.